Alright, so this is episode 13, part 2. But yeah, man, so I think, for me anyway, looking back at those moments that were so amazing for me at the time, man, I fucking loved that shit. You know, there was nothing else in my life that compared. Nothing else made me feel anywhere near as awesome as these drugs did. Nothing. And so I allowed myself to believe that couldn't be bad. These things couldn't be bad for me as long as I was, like I said, I was still of the belief that I could be smart about drug use, you know, that I could do everything in what do you want to say, not recreational doses, but you know, like I could God damn it, I hate it when I fucking can't think of words. But you know, I was still fooling myself into thinking I could be responsible about it. You know, that I wouldn't go overboard with anything, and it wouldn't become an addiction. You know, this is just something I'll do every now and then, and it won't be that big of a deal, right? But it got to the point where me and my best friend were literally planning a drug vacation. You know, like, we're gonna get together for a week, and we're gonna do all this acid, and we're gonna do all these mushrooms, we're gonna smoke all this weed. And like, there was a point in my life where that was hands down the most ultimate experience I could possibly ever hope for. Like, yes, let's do that. Let's fucking have that week where we just fucking go to the outer limits of the universe, right? You know, I believe that's where I started labeling myself a time traveler. You know, because drugs and the trips that they took me on and the experiences they provided for me, there was still this whole romantic thing about it. You know, it's like I'm a time traveler. I'm a fucking intronaut. You know, I'm expanding the limits of my consciousness. I'm expanding my imagination. I'm seeing things from all these different perspectives, and I'm growing as an individual, and I'm learning so much about myself, and you know, all of this. And here's the problem: a lot of that shit was true. You know what I mean? Like, I did learn a lot about myself. A lot of it was really bad. But a lot of it was kind of good too. It's hard to explain, and I still haven't even gotten to the drug that I initially was going to make this episode about, which is DXM. I just felt like I kind of needed to explain how I got to DXM, right? Because I can't list them all off for you right now, but I had written them down at one point, and the list of drugs I've tried, and I had said this on the Slaying the Dragon episode. If I remember correctly, the list of drugs I have tried, the list of different drugs I've tried is well over 50. Well over 50, and including you know, like research chemicals, pretty much all of the known hard drugs, with the exception of anything that comes in a needle. I never touched needles. That shit terrified me. That was a line in the sand that I was not willing to cross. And but I tried pretty much everything, right? And there's only a handful of things I liked enough to do multiple times. I remember the very first time I tried cocaine. I was so let down. Like, I was so disappointed because the things I had started my drugs experiences with were so intense. You know, you can't, you know, do epic doses of 6-APB and fucking then go on, you know, like an acid trip and then snort a line of coke, and it's like, what the fuck is this even? What's the point in this shit? This shit's nothing. Might as well be snorting fucking sugar, right? I feel nothing. I got nothing going on here. I got a runny nose. My lips are numb. Why are people paying money for this shit? To this day, I still don't get coke. Like I said, I'm not a big fan of stimulants, even though I fucking, you know, smoked meth every day for fucking 8 months. I didn't love it. Which takes me, again, back to the things that I did love. Which is kind of why I wanted to tell the story of the drugs that I liked. I've told the story of the drugs that I didn't like, that I struggled with, like the meth and the alcohol. But I think it's important to talk about the drugs that I did like, because those are the hardest ones to quit, right? I did not like meth at all. And I had a hard time quitting meth. I can't even imagine what it's like for the people who fucking love meth. Meth is boring to me. You know, one LSD experience and everything else became pretty much boring to me. There was no need for it. There was nothing else was going to blow my mind the way LSD did. And literally that was 90% of why I did drugs. I was trying to blow my mind, right? I was trying to escape from reality as much as possible, because I was making a bunch of stupid mistakes in life that I didn't want to deal with, I didn't want to face, and I didn't want to be responsible about. So I just wanted to get high and ignore everything. And 6-APB was really fucking fun, but I only had access to a gram of it, and when that gram was gone, my friend, if I were to get any more, he would have had to order it online for me, because I didn't know exactly where to get it. And he had gotten to the point where he was done with it, so I no longer had access to it. I believe it became a scheduled drug very soon after. And I didn't know anybody who sold any of the shit that I wanted. And so I actively searched for anything that I could do over the counter that would get me really fucking high. And I experimented with a few different things. Like, I experimented with pretty much every over-the-counter drug there is. They all suck. Except for DXM. Now, in the beginning of the last episode, I kind of explained a little bit about what DXM is like. You know, it's a bit of a disassociative. It's got similarities to PCP and ketamine. It also has a very psychedelic element to it, especially especially on heavy doses. When you close your eyes and you're in a dark room, you might as well be in an isolation chamber, because you're gonna go into a fucking completely different universe, and you're gonna see some wild shit. And this will last, depending on what kind of cough syrup you drink, and depending on how much you drink. This shit will last anywhere from fucking 4 to 12 hours, maybe longer. I've been fucked up for longer on some seriously epic doses of this shit. I scrambled my brains a couple times. I took so much of this shit consecutively You know, over the course of 3 or 4 days, I'm drinking anywhere between 3 and 5 bottles a day, or I'm taking like 3 or 5 bottles of the gel caps a day. You know, usually all at once. But I had a lot of stomach issues with this shit. This shit always, every time I did this stuff, I had to fight the urge to puke it all up every single time. For a while, my body, for probably like the first year or two, my body fought it every single time, and then my body just stopped fighting it, and I could take as much as I wanted, and I wasn't puking anything. And then finally my body started fucking fighting it again. It very, very weird. And I was doing this shit on a regular basis for like 4 to 5 years. But there were a couple of times where I went way too heavy, way too hard, and I fucked myself up. And it's so hard to explain the feeling and the thoughts that were going through my head at these moments, because I was completely alone, completely isolated. I could have died and nobody would have ever known every time I did this. And like, I'm talking full, complete brain shutdown for probably anywhere from 12 to 32 hours. And I would come out of this, it was very similar to like a coma, like a drug-induced coma. But I wasn't just sleeping, you know, I wasn't just sleeping. I remember like laying on the floor or laying on the couch, staring at the corner of the ceiling and thinking my brain is broken. Like, and I can have these surface thoughts on the very surface of my mind, but I can't go any deeper into my mind because it's all fucked. It's all fucked. I remember sitting there just thinking like, just these little thoughts that really couldn't hold any meaning. They didn't hold a lot of meaning to me. I couldn't fully process them. I didn't fully understand them. I just remember thinking, oh, my brain's broken. Okay. This is probably supposed to be really scary. And not only that, but every time I did these, anytime I used cough syrup in general, I always had music in, right? I always had music in. And sometimes when you're at this point, like I can no longer tell the difference, or I'm no longer able to acknowledge that I'm listening to music. Whatever fuck sounds are going in my ears now, whatever the fuck that is, I'm no longer aware of the fact that these are headphones that I can pull out of my ears. You know, so I'm completely tripping balls. My brain is fucking fried. You know, and like I don't understand reality. I don't understand where I am. I don't understand what this noise in my fucking head is. I don't understand the things I'm seeing. I don't understand that I'm a human being. I don't understand that I'm on a couch. I don't understand that I'm in my living room. All I know at a basic level is I'm probably going to die right now. I'm probably going to die right now. And I guess I'm okay with that. Which is a terrifying thought to have, right? You know, and this happened to me a couple of times. Multiple times, a lot of times, especially when I was really depressed and I was using heavy doses of this shit. I'm sitting there and I'm drinking a ton of this stuff and I feel it kick in and I'm like, God, I don't know what this stuff is doing to my body. It could probably kill me. But I guess if I gotta go out, this is I'll go out with this amazing feeling, right? Because that's the thing, man. DXM, I don't ever want to try. I don't ever want to be the reason somebody tries this shit. You know, I am not trying to advocate drug use, right? Drugs suck. They suck. And for a long time, I was like, you know what? Everyone should try drugs. Everyone should try drugs. And a certain part of me thinks that everyone should have psychedelic trips. I still think everyone should try acid once or mushrooms once. If it's for you, awesome. Maybe do it once every couple of years. If it's not, whatever. I think that there is a place in society for responsible psychedelic use. 100%. But when it comes to drinking epic doses of cough syrup, no, you're fucking on your own, buddy. You're like, I don't support that, even though it's something I did for a super long time. I don't want you to listen to this and think I'm glorifying the usage of this shit, because it fucked me up seriously. And but it was the closest I could get to a psychedelic trip without figuring out how to get psychedelics. I could easily steal this shit from the grocery store, and that's what I did. I stole it. I stole it from Walmart. I stole it from the grocery store. I stole it from the dollar store. I stole it from fucking any place that carried it. I stole it. I stole... Jesus. I couldn't even guess the dollar amount. You know? A single bottle of Delsum cough syrup. A single bottle of Delsum, like a 5 milliliter bottle of Delsum, or maybe like a 5 ounces. I can't remember what the fuck it is, but a single regular size bottle of Delsum goes for like $16 at Walmart. And now that price is dramatically inflated because I think everyone steals this shit, right? It used to be like $8 or $9 5 or 6 years ago. But so a single bottle of Delsum goes for like between $16 and $18 at Walmart. Same price at Walgreens. You can get cheaper, like knockoff store brand versions that is basically the same. But I'm drinking. At the time, I was drinking anywhere between 3 and 5 bottles of Delsum, which is the more expensive shit. It's got the same active ingredient, but they put like some kind of edible plastic coating over it to give like a time release type thing, and so the Delsum would last much longer, fucking like 2, 3, 4 times longer than just a regular Robitussin that didn't have the edible plastic coating on it. And I believe it's the Delsum. It was the time I was using the Delsum where I got to that point where my brain was fucked, like completely fucked, because it lasts so long. Like it's such a strange sensation. There's so many sensations involved with that shit. There's so many layers involved with this particular drug. Like it's impossible to describe all the different things you feel, all the different things it does to you, and with procession. You know, you'd really have to do some research on the shit. But I loved that feeling. Like as soon as it kicked in, once you got beyond all of the pukey sensations, you know, all that shit, once you got through all the nausea and it actually kicked in, it's like you're dipped into this fucking pool of warm fluid, right? Like you're just enveloped by this pool of warm fluid that you just completely coated with this warm feeling. It's like you're slipping in to this fucking velvety fucking sensation. And then I would lay back and I would close my eyes and I would listen to the music and I would just fucking fly. I would just fucking fly. I wish I had set up like a webcam or something to see what I look like during these because I'm telling you, I did this 2 or 3 times a week every week for fucking 5 years almost. I brainwashed myself with this shit. I had some serious breaks with reality towards the end of my heavy usage. Some serious breaks with reality. I genuinely thought that the universe had chosen me to be the savior of Earth, and it was up to me to save the world, and I had to build an army to do it. And you know, I felt like I was the only woke person on the planet, and I was the only one that cared enough to save the world. And I thought I could dodge bullets. I thought I knew kung fu just by watching movies. You know, I thought I could memorize it in my brain. Like I tried to get people to let me try it on them, and nobody would let me try my fucking kung fu on them because I was like, no, dude, I'm telling you, I swear to God, I'm telling you. I watched a 5-minute video yesterday, and I know kung fu now. It's just like the Matrix, bro. I'm telling you, and this is exactly the type of shit I was saying. It's like, yeah, man, it's just like the Matrix. I'm telling you, it's like I learned how to plug into these different programs, and it's almost like fucking the photographic memory. I watched this video, I know the movements, I have them memorized, I can do them right now. Swing at me, bro. Swing at me. Let me show you. It's fucking crazy shit like that. You know, I was in the fucking street dodging traffic because I thought I had like ability to slow down time like Neo in the Matrix. Just mind-boggling, right? And that's the type of shit that'll happen to you after some seriously unchecked, mind-altering drug abuse. And I had developed this whole, like, I hated my life. I hated the way I lived. I'll talk about that in another episode, but I did not live, and I'm a fucking slob, man. I'm trying real hard to improve on that, but it's an issue I gotta start working on. And during the time when I was using the most drugs, like I'm telling you, I lived in some gross situations. I lived with some gross people in some gross situations. And that's all I'm gonna say right now. And so the real world fucking sucked. It was a misery to me. I was a failure. I still to this day consider myself a complete failure, which is one of the few reasons I cling to things like this podcast. Is, you know, like maybe one day I can look at this and be like, you know, at least I wasn't a complete failure. I did something, right? You know, I accomplished something. You know, and I'm getting off topic here, but so I was so disgusted with myself and disappointed in myself, and I wasn't willing to put in the effort to change anything significantly in my life, so I kept turning to drugs, any drugs that I could get. But primarily, I couldn't afford anything, so I was stealing cough syrup. Like I said, those bottles, somewhere around the, you know, in between the $10 to $20 range, depending on the name brand. I stole thousands of dollars worth of cough syrup. It blows my mind. I only ever got caught once. That's fucking crazy. Thousands of dollars. And so I was constantly doing this shit, taking heavy doses, and I would go into this fucking universe in my mind, and I built a world inside my mind where I wasn't a piece of shit. You know, I could live in this fantasy world where, you know, I'm a successful writer, I'm a successful musician, everyone likes me on Facebook, you know, maybe I'm a successful comedian, you know, fucking, I played out all of these scenarios in my mind where, you know, all these underdog stories where this fucking dude was down and out and fucking shitty and doing all these drugs and just being a waste of potential. And then he's like, today's the day I'm changing my ways, and, you know, right? And he does his little rocky jog, and he fucking jogs to the top of the goddamn fucking, you know, staircase, and he does his rocky stance, and it's like, yeah, maybe screams out Ivan Drago or some shit, you know, like every one of these trips for me was a scenario like that, where I'm, you know, falsely inflating, you know, my sense of self-worth and all this shit, trying to make myself feel better, trying to set fire to the dreams and passions that I was trying to brainwash myself really into becoming that character, becoming that person who became the hero of their own story, you know what I mean? Like, I was trying to brainwash myself to the point where I truly believed I was that guy. And I felt like once I believed I was that guy, and I believed I had something that I could use as a tool to climb out of this bullshit with, whether it's, you know, my talent. I hate to use the word talent because I'm not that talented as a musician. I'm good at the guitar, but I haven't played in over 5 years because I sold my fucking equipment for drugs. But I was trying to convince myself that I could be that hero of my own story, and that my story had a positive ending, and that I could overcome all this shit. I could stop using the drugs. I could stop using the cough syrup. Really, when I say I stopped using the drugs, the fucking cough syrup was hands down the most terrifying thing for me to give up, because it was the key to it was the portal to this amazing world that I had created in my mind, and every time I went in there, the world got better and more expansive, and every time I never lost it. It's still in there. It's still in there. Sometimes it comes out in my dreams, but I'm telling you, this was such a hardcore experience, doing this for fucking years. Constant, regular brainwashing, you know. I literally, I was so miserable and so depressed, and to be honest, I was a complete piece of worthless shit, and I knew it. And I thought that I could change the way I felt about myself through this regular brainwashing, and for a while I had progress, and then I became delusional. I started to believe some of these things that I was thinking, but I sure as fuck wasn't thinking rationally while I'm tripping all this fucking nutsack, you know what I'm saying? And so I started to become delusional. I started to think that I could do anything. I could anything. If I'm gonna be a stand-up comedian, oh, you betcha, I got the skills for that. Let me get up on stage and eat a bag of fucking dicks for fucking 15 minutes and see how well that goes, right? Yeah, that fucking sucked. That fucking sucked. And that was the beginning, though, me getting up on stage and doing comedy, or trying to do comedy, and failing miserably at it. That was the beginning of a serious downfall for me, because I had spent like fucking almost 5 years artificially inflating my sense of self-worth, my fucking sense of being, my self-esteem, my confidence, my ability, my faith in myself and my abilities to overcome anything and make a positive story about it and take that story and use it to achieve some level of success that I could be proud of, and then I could turn around and be like, look what I did, guys, look where I was, and look what I went through to get here, and look where I am now. You can do it too. That was always the goal, right? That was always the goal, to fucking figure something out, figure out, you know, a piece of magic. You know, while I was in this world of shit, to find this piece of magic where I could use it and turn all this into something that I could it could turn into something positive, which I could then give to somebody else and be like, look, you can do it too. Hey, you can do it too. Look at me, I did it. You can do it too. And like there was every day, that's how I got through my life, man, because I hate to say it, but I was not ready to deal with reality. I just fucking wasn't. I wasn't prepared, and every day I got less and less prepared. Like it became so fucking difficult for me to imagine dealing with reality without the use of cough syrup, you know, like it. And I only got 13 minutes left in this episode, but I could talk about the various things that I did on this shit, the various stupid things that I did. Like, you know, I would, like I said, I stole this shit, and I would, for a while I had a car, and I would drive I'd still be high as shit, man. And on this stuff, you can't even tie your own shoes. If you have to think about it, you can't do it. It just doesn't work. But I figured out at a relatively early stage that when it was, if it was something to do with muscle memory, like, okay, tying your shoes, I could tie my shoes as long as I didn't think about tying my shoes. As soon as I looked at my shoelaces and I had to think about what step came next, I couldn't do it. But if I just put my shoes on and without thinking about it, tied them while I was talking to somebody, I could do it hands down every time. So I realized that by doing it, that I could drive my car when I was on this shit. And so I was driving my car up to the store to get more of this shit, and the door didn't work on the driver's side of my car, so I was climbing in and out of the fucking window. That was so fucking hard to do. I could barely get in and out of the window with this shit. I could barely walk in a straight line. I guarantee you, if you could see video footage of me at any point in this time, you would say, that motherfucker under no circumstances should be driving. And you'd be 100% true. But I realized that I could drive, and so I did drive. And it's a terrifying thing, because the whole time I'm driving up to the store, I'm literally telling myself, okay, just drive. Don't think about it. Don't think about it. Don't think about what you have to do when the light turns red. Just do it. Just stop. You know, like, and then I was driving fine. I never got pulled over, never had any problems. But that was fucking probably, again, one of the dumbest fucking things I've ever done. I do not support, and under any circumstances, driving while under the influence. I don't even like driving when I'm high on weed. You just should not fucking do it. But in my head, hey, I was actually impressed. Like, it was cool to me. Like, I remember going up to the fucking store thinking, I don't know how I'm doing this. This is fucking amazing. Like, it was cool to me. It was entertaining. And one time, this was like right after I moved back up here from Arkansas the second time, I had moved up here with a cat. I had gotten a cat while I was down there, and I'd moved up here, and my dad didn't want the cat in the house, so It was like the first. It was like this time of year, first week or two of October. So until I could figure out what I was going to do with the cat, I left the cat in the car, and I had the windows cracked, and there was food and water in there, and eventually I just snuck him down into the basement with me. But during that first week, I had him in the car, and that fucking cat, like, that cat went, and I went through some really tough times with that cat, and that dude was my bro. You know, he was my fucking best friend, really. You know, I love the shit out of cats. The cat I got now is fucking amazing. He's gay as fuck for me, though. Yes, he is. But anyway, so I had my cat in the car, and I had to climb out the window, and I didn't put the window partially back up like I normally did with him in the car, and I parked the car in the Walgreens parking lot, and I walk across the street to the grocery store because I'm fully planning on stealing more cough syrup. And I come back, and I see that my window's down and my cat's not in the car anymore. And I completely lose it. I completely panic. At this point in my life, my cat is literally all I have. This is all I have. If I lose my cat, I don't know what I'm gonna do. And he'd been an indoor cat the whole fucking time, right? And I'm like, and it's like 2 in the morning, and I'm like, dude, where the fuck are you? And at this point, I'm thinking he's fucking gone. He's gone. I'm never gonna see this cat again, right? And I'm looking around this parking lot and looking in the bushes, and finally I see him. He's in the bushes, like, 30 feet away. And of course he's all riled up, he's out in the fucking fresh air, he's smelling some smells, this motherfucker is not gonna listen to me anytime soon. And so, and I'm still high as shit, higher than an eagle dick, you know what I mean? I just didn't want to come down, so I went to get some more. And I can't walk right, and it's like I said, it's the middle of the night, and I'm literally diving in bushes after this fucking cat. I'm freaking out. I'm having a panic attack. And I'm chasing this cat around the parking lot for probably 45 minutes. And then finally I start using my brain, and I'm like, well, what the fuck I'm not going to catch him. What am I going to do? I got to figure something out. And so I open the trunk of my car, and I go rooting through it, and I see like a 15-foot extension cord. And I was like, maybe I can lure this dumbass with a fucking extension cord, right? So I grabbed the extension cord, and it's not like one of those thick industrial ones, it's like a 15-foot living room extension cord. So it's kind of skinny, I don't know. But so I grab this extension cord, and I fucking fling it out there, kind of like a fishing line, and I start fucking pulling it in again like a fishing line, and the dude fucking falls for it, hook, line, and sinker. I'm sorry about all these fucking fishing references, but he fucking fell for it 100%, and I couldn't believe it. Like, he comes, I yank it towards me, he comes chasing after it, and I grab the scruff of his fucking neck, and I jump in the fucking car, and I start bawling. I probably sit there for 10 fucking minutes just crying my eyes out, man, because I almost lost my cat. And that was such a big fucking deal for me, right? And that's one of those. That's one of the, for me, the decision to stop doing drugs didn't just happen overnight. Like this, there was an accumulation of moments like this, accumulation of moments like that just got to be, there was just too many of them. You know what I mean? There's just too many of these moments where I had no excuse for myself or my behavior. Another one happened to be the only time I ever got caught trying to steal cough syrup. Again, my cat was in the car, and I was in Brainerd, and I tried to steal some shit from a store there, and they caught me, and I had to spend the weekend in jail in Brainerd, and my cat was in the car that whole weekend, and my car was sitting in a grocery store parking lot that whole weekend. And I knew for a fact that when I got back to my car, my cat was going to be gone, or my car was going to be gone. Like, somebody would have called a tow truck or a cop, and somebody would have came and they took my cat and this and that. And I knew I was never going to see my cat again. And I remember I even prayed. I prayed to God. I prayed to a God I don't believe in. And I was just like, if my cat's still there, I'll get my shit together. If my cat is still there, I promise you I'll get my shit together. And I get out of jail, and I walk, the 2 or 3 miles from the jail to my car, in the rain and flip-flops. And sure enough, man, my fucking cat was still there. But I went back to doing my same old shit, you know what I mean? I couldn't even keep my own word that I'd given to myself. I didn't deserve that cat. I didn't deserve him, and I didn't treat him nearly as well as I should have. And then I eventually had to watch him die from cancer. And it was when he passed away. It was a month-long process, man. It was vicious. When he passed away, I made a promise. I made a promise to him that I would do all the things that I promised myself I would do. I would accomplish the shit I told myself I would accomplish. And all the bad times that he went through when he was with me wouldn't be in vain, because I would turn my life around. And it took me another 1.5 years after that to start trying it, to start doing it. Because then I found myself in a homeless shelter, and that's a whole different podcast. And then, like I said, it was I wind up in that homeless shelter literally the week after I started doing stand-up. And failing at the stand-up comedy so terrible. Like, that's when a lot of my delusions were shattered, and I realized that everything I had thought about myself for the last 5 years was all bullshit. It was all fake. I'm a human being. I'm not some fucking savior of the universe. I'm not incredibly talented or gifted. All I have is myself and my determination to make those dreams a reality on one level or another. And I still don't know how to do that yet. Every day I'm trying to figure it out. But yeah, fuck, man. You know what I'm saying? That's it. I got like 10-20 seconds left. Fucking, if you're into the show, you know what to do. Subscribe to my shit on YouTube. Give me a like and follow on Facebook. Positively Insane Podcast, man. Do it up. Find me on Twitter, positively IPC. Until next